If you've ever bought a used camera, you've probably gotten one that's really gross and dirty. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how to clean a film camera. The basic supplies you're going to need are some Q-tips. You're going to need some lens cleaner, lens tissue, any brand realistically will do, and some rubbing alcohol. This is 91% isopropyl. I keep it in a film canister so that if I accidentally knock it over, I don't waste all of my alcohol, which has not been easy to get the last few months. So first thing we're going to do is start cleaning this guy. I'm going to set the rubbing alcohol up here, and I just take it off, take the cap off like that. So lens on this is pretty clean. At least the front of it is. Yeah, that's good. Back of it, not so much. So cleaning a lens, I've done videos on this, it's pretty easy. If the dirt is enough, then you just spray right on the lens. I like the sprayers because they spread out the droplets a lot, which gives you a nice even covering on the elements. And even though it's not dirty, we'll give it a quick touch up like that. Otherwise, the lens is generally pretty clean. Cleaning a lens housing is, especially one like this that's milled, kind of a pain, quite honestly, because dirt gets into everything and is resistant to being cleaned out. But you can do a lot to clean up a lot of the housing. As you can see, there was some dirt coming off on the Q-tip there. All you have to do is wet the Q-tip with the rubbing alcohol and go over it, and that's going to clean up a surprising amount of dirt off of your lens. It's also a good idea to have a trash can nearby, conveniently off camera. We'll set this off to the side because we're not going to need it anymore, at least not for this video. All right, cleaning the camera itself. Now, if you've seen my video on replacing light seals, if you're cleaning a camera that you just got, you know it works. This is also a good time to replace the light seals. This one really needs new light seals. That foam is shot, but I don't have the materials here today to do it. To clean the camera body, you just grab a cotton swab. We're just going to start going over the areas of the camera with the cotton swab. Some of these old cameras have a lot of little nooks and crannies that are just kind of a pain to get cleaned up. And I'm holding the camera this way because this is the backwards of the way that I normally hold it. Generally, if you're going to be doing this, you'd want to look at the camera the way that you're seeing it right now. And you don't want to overuse the cotton swabs either. You want to let them get a little bit dirty, that's fine. But if you let them get too dirty, you're not going to be cleaning the camera. You're just going to be spreading the dirt around. And that's not a successful implementation of this process. Places like this are the hardest to get, right between things that are close together. And on some models of camera, you just can't. You've either got to get something smaller than a cotton swab, like a little 1mm foam paintbrush, or just admit defeat at those points. The more you do this, if you get cameras often to try and shoot, the more you'll get better at getting these things cleaned up. So you can see now I've gone over this enough times that the camera's pretty well clean, and the cotton swabs are starting to get less dirt on it. Okay. Viewfinder is kind of filthy. The Viewfinder is a lens optic, but it is not a lens optic that is the same as in the objectives. Very gently, we'll go and put some rubbing alcohol on the Viewfinder. Do that again. The cotton swab lets me kind of get into the corners there. And then we'll just gently go over it and spin this as we go to get that dirt out of the corners. And the glass in this is definitely a lot tougher than is in your taking lenses. So it's pretty resistant to being cleaned with a cotton swab as long as you are very gentle with it. You don't want to jam that cotton swab in there because you can still scratch the eyepiece, and while it's not the end of the world, it won't affect your images. It can cause a little bit of glare and flaring in your viewfinder that can be a little bit distracting. We'll go here to inside of the camera, which I'd like to do. There we go. The light seals in this are sticky and kind of trying to glue the camera shut. So again, if you're going to do this, this is a great time to grab some cotton yarn and replace the light seals. Clean the channel rails out here. The inside of the camera is pretty easy to keep clean. There are just a handful of places where you're likely to get a decent amount of dust right here along the bottom. Unless the inside of the camera is really filthy, you can generally get away with just using one cotton swab on most camera insides. But you can see generally not too dirty on the inside of this camera. The insides of cameras are pretty good at staying clean, but can use a good quick dusting along some of the corner areas to get some of that dust out, because that will prevent that dust from getting onto your film. All right. Once you're done with the inside, then you might, if your the front of this camera's body isn't too bad, but to get the front of the camera, just have to grab a cotton swab, run it along the nooks and crannies here, around the lens mount. FD lens mounts are a pain to get clean, just the way that the breech on the camera is designed. With other lens mounts, you can run the cotton swab around it and get the lens mount a little bit cleaner, which helps with preventing dust from getting onto your film as well, because dust can make it into your camera through the front. And we're getting close to being done with that. There we go. And one more circle around the inside there for good measure. That was a good decision. Now, last thing we have to worry about is the mirror. Mirrors are very sensitive. You don't want to use a cotton swab on the mirror because this is the thing you need to be most gentle with when you're cleaning your camera. So I'm going to grab a lens tissue and tear it in half, because that foam right there on the mirror is a pain to get off. So I'm just going to grab some rubbing alcohol. And the rubbing alcohol is a really good solvent for that. Really gently. Everything I'm doing here is very gentle. And that, if you do it correctly, will take the foam off the mirror and not leave too much of a mark. There's a little bit of streaking on there from the foam because it didn't get completely clean. That is not going to be the end of the world, because the next thing we're going to do is take our little spritzer, going to very gently clean. And what we want to do is take different parts of the tissue in as much as possible and pull them down towards the front of the mirror. So you get your tissue wet, put it on your finger, put your finger on the back, and then pull forward, rotate, 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 pull forward. And then if you need to, just take a little piece of clean, dry tissue and clean up any spots. And as you can see, the smearing from the foam is gone, and the mirror is a whole lot cleaner. But again, this is super gentle work. Don't press on the mirror. Just rest your finger on it and drag forward, and the weight of your finger combined with the tissue and your spray will be enough to pull the dirt off of the mirror so that it's nice and clean and you have a good, brighter and more in focus viewfinder image, because having a clean mirror will improve the quality of the image coming in through your viewfinder. And that is A camera that a few minutes ago was absolutely disgusting with dirt, and now, well, at least it's a whole lot better.